webinar series for InfraNirbhar. Thank you all for joining us. Union Budget 2021-22 has been a pleasant surprise. The Finance Minister has voted for growth. In fact, faced with adversities at hand, she delivered a positive outlook for mending India's economy and nursing it back to health. In recent times, no finance minister has spent as much time of his or her budget speech as Nirmala Sitharaman.
Can I just interrupt you? I think we need to mute the other mics. Otherwise, the sound is coming very garbled. So I would request that only the speaker has his mic on, all the others put it off.
Okay. Thank you, sir. In recent times, no finance minister has spent as much time of his or her budget speech as Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman did on 1st February 2021 on infrastructure. She reiterated her commitment to the national infrastructure pipeline and updated it that it was launched with 6,835 projects, but the project pipeline has now expanded to 7,400 projects and around 217 projects worth 1.10 trillion have been completed. Apart from roads, the next best economic accelerator from the infrastructure stable has been our metro rail drive, with 20 cities where metro operates or is being constructed and another 11 cities where it is being actively discussed. India is a metro construction nation today. One of our most challenging projects, the Delhi Metro Rail, is the showpiece at literally the center. Despite resounding progress in both these and several other aspects of infrastructure development, these are unsung and there is lack of understanding or even a desire to know more. Construction World, India's largest circulated construction magazine, along with Swarajya, has launched a webinar series to bring the nation up to speed on India's infra plan, hence called the InfraNirbhar series. To kick off this series, our very first guest speaker, Shri, Minister of State for Housing and Urban Affairs, Honorable Shri Hardeep Singh Puri. But before we go to him, a little word about our sponsors. We have our presenting sponsor, J. Kumar Infra Projects, and associate sponsor, Godavari Paints. Godavari Paints is a leading MSME paint manufacturer, providing total paint solutions since last 40 years to the housing and architectural industry. And company caters to clients from the real estate sector and also offer anti-carbonation coatings and other allied products to protect concrete structures of metro projects. It has also been awarded the ET Now as well as most preferred brand by the real estate sector. Before I hand this over to Ashish to begin the conversation with our minister, I'd like to say, I would like to pitch in that this book, Perilous Interventions, which our minister had presented, is a fabulous book for everyone to read. It was the book that was written to him while he was handling the other portfolio in the external affairs, and it's a fantastic account of his experience in international politics, and I think I would urge everyone to actually look at that. So that's a wonderful new introduction. And now, Ashish, I'll request you to take this forward.
Thank you, Pratap. We are delighted today to have Shri Hardeep Singh Puri, the Honorable Union Minister, for our inaugural session. After an illustrious career as a diplomat in the Indian Foreign Service, Shri Puri is now a prominent member of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's team, handling key ministries like Civil Aviation and Housing and Urban Affairs. Both the ministries deal with infrastructure and are quite critical to the progress of our city. As you may be aware, India has been rapidly expanding its metro rail network, and the current government has taken it to even several second-tier cities. So in that backdrop, I will invite Shri Hardeep Singh Puri to share his vision on Indian metro rail systems as means of a sustainable urban transport framework. Following his keynote address, the minister will be taking a few questions. With that introduction, Honorable Minister, it's over to you for your address. We can't hear you. An issue with the audio on your side. We are not able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
No, we can hear you now. We can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Let me start again, but I'll request all the other mics to be put off. Otherwise, even if I get through, it is not going to be clear. Okay, let me start by greeting all of you who have joined us today for the webinar on the India Metro Rail Systems organized by Swarajya as part of their Construction World InfraNirbhar series. Our urban centers and cities are hubs of economic productivity, infrastructure, culture, and diversity. As key drivers of economic growth, our cities need to expand sustainably and inclusively. In 2014, when Shri Narendra Modi ji was elected and assumed the post of Prime Minister of India in May 2014, we embarked on one of the most comprehensive, planned, and ambitious urbanization agendas undertaken anywhere in the world. Our cities are witnessing an exponential increase in use of personal motor vehicles, resulting in severe traffic congestion and pollution. Efforts to remedy this situation need to focus on improving our public transport system, the most efficient and sustainable option of which is the metro rail system. Till 2014, only about 248 kilometers metro network was operational in 5 cities. With a consistent push by the government, the metro network has expanded by more than 469 kilometers, and today a total of 717-kilometer metro is operational in 18 cities today. We envision developing the metro system in 50 cities in the years to come. We will achieve 1,000 kilometers of the operational metro by the 75th year of our independence, that is 2022, and 1,700 kilometers across 25 cities by 2025. More than 265 kilometers of new metro lines in the city of Kochi, 11.5 kilometers, Bengaluru, 58.2 kilometers, Chennai, 118.9 kilometers, Nagpur, 43.8 kilometers, and Nasik, 33 kilometers, at a total cost of rupees 88,791 crores have been included in the budget for 2021-22. These new metro lines will be made operational in the next 6 to 7 years. During the last 6 years, several initiatives have been adopted in the metro rail sector. Under the metro rail policy, our focus is to develop an inclusive metro system together with multimodal integration and last mile connectivity. The Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, on 28th December 2020, inaugurated the use of the National Common Mobility Card, Ncmc, on the Airport Express line of Delhi Metro. The Ncmc is an open loop card that a customer may use to travel across the country via different modes of transportation and for retail purchases. Other metro networks are in the process of adopting the Ncmc. Today, many Indian cities aspire to have a metro system to solve their mobility problems. 2 new metro systems, namely Metro Light and Metro Neo, have also been conceptualized for smaller cities with peak hour, peak direction traffic, PHP DT, up to 15,000 and 8,000 respectively. First Metro Neo system of Nasik of 33-kilometer network has been included in the 2021-22 budget. The first Metro Light is proposed for the Rithala-Narela corridor of Delhi Metro Phase 4 project. In March 2019, our government approved the first 82-kilometer long RRTS corridor between Delhi, Ghaziabad and Meerut. This corridor is an innovative dual transit mode with RRTS and metro on the same infrastructure over 22 kilometers in Meerut city. Our metro rail system is a stellar example of the Make in India and Aatmanirbhar spirit as envisioned by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. By standardizing various components required for the metro, we have established a robust manufacturing industry in India. This ensures that various metro rail components and equipment in new metro projects conform to prescribed standards, incentivizing manufacturers to plan long-term investment to set up manufacturing units. This promotes indigenization and reduces cost due to economies of scale. For example, the creation of domestic manufacturing capacity for the rolling stock component has led to a considerable reduction in its per coach cost from rupees 12 crores to rupees 8 crores. 64 subcomponents of rolling stock, electrical and mechanical traction, etc., have also been identified for procurement from local sources. An effort is also being made to increase local capacity and enhance the list of items procured from local sources. The United Nations certified the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation as the first metro and rail-based system that gets carbon credits due to reduced greenhouse gas emission, as it reduces 7.11 lakh tons of greenhouse emission in Delhi every year, which is bound to go up as the Delhi metro expands. These developments in the urban transportation sphere regarding the metro rail network cannot be overlooked or viewed only in a silo. The convergence of flagship missions like the Smart Cities Mission and Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transportation, Amrut, and also help us address the challenges like last mile connectivity in a networked manner. I am deeply grateful for this invitation to be with you this afternoon. I feel privileged to participate and I thank you very much, and I would be happy to take a few questions. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Minister. That was a very comprehensive view of the developments in the metro sector which are currently going on. I had a couple of questions on this. You mentioned about Metro Light and Metro Neo. Is there a classification of the cities by population, like which system will apply to which city? If you can throw some light on that, that would be a very good point. And secondly, do you see any execution risks given the in some cases, strained issues between the center and the state governments? So do you see any execution risks to any projects going forward?
I think the first part of your question on Metro Neo and Metro Light is quite clear, and we're happy to answer it. I'm not sure that I entirely heard what the second part of your question is about risks between center and the states. Could you please repeat that?
Sure. The point was that in several cases, we see that there's a difference of opinion for the state governments in terms of land acquisition or the location of the metro infrastructure to what has been planned. And that has delayed a few projects. So do you see that as a risk for other projects also going forward?
Well, let me first start by saying that if it were left entirely to the state governments, who, as political executives and responding to the kind of demand that large cities which are growing in population size and pressure, if it was left entirely to them, they would all demand regular metros of the kind that we have. The problem is that the metro system, it's not a problem, it's a fact of life, is a capital intensive system. You need to raise the finances. Many of these projects, in fact, most of them, I think, have financing from multilateral financial institutions. Like I know for a fact that Delhi Metro, we had to take a loan of something like 27,000 crores, if I'm not mistaken, from JICA, the Japan Investment Cooperation Agency. I should remember my Japanese, but so JICA. So and these capital intensive in projects need to be economically viable, because then within a stipulated period of time you have to pay back the loan so taken. Now our politicians, all of us included, are always very ambitious. We want the best of infrastructure, and yet we shy away from the need to ensure that the project becomes economically viable. So there have been some tensions. I wouldn't say there are any major disputes. After I became minister in September 2017, I am only aware of one case where we had some tension with the state government, which I was able to resolve because the concerned state government wanted to make the metro virtually not have any increase in fares, which had not. You see, increases in metro fares take place because there is a committee which is established, which looks at all the facts and then makes a recommendation. Now, in the case of Delhi Metro, the fare hike had not taken place for something like 8 or 9 years. And before I became a minister, the said committee recommended a fare hike in 2 parts. And one part had already taken place before I became a minister. So when the second one came, maybe they were trying to test me to see whether I had the stamina to ride out that kind of populist pressure. I not only rode it out, but I've been at this game for a long time, and I said, look, you want world-class infrastructure, that has to be economically viable, because nobody is going to invest in your projects if they are not able to produce. So now that is the larger, I'm giving you an example. Now, insofar as the metro system is concerned, the cost per kilometer in the usual one, because sometimes you have to do underground, tunneling, some stations are underground, some go through congested metropolitan centers, unlike trains, which are all on surface, and you need to connect point to point along a railway line. So when we went into this, and I think very early in my tenure as Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, which has responsibility for urban transport, we discovered that more economical options were available. Now let me just give you a rough, in metro, if you were to do viaduct over an overhead head, it is something like 300 crores per kilometer. Now 300 crores per kilometer is a lot of money. But if you want to do underground, the cost could appreciably go up, possibly to 500 crores per kilometer. Metro Light and Metro Neo are able to perform in terms of carrying capacity roughly the same load at a fraction of the cost. And I will just share with you what is the difference between Metro Light and Metro Neo. That was the first question asked. And I said, where you have up to 15,000 peak hour, peak direction traffic, you can use Metro Light. And if you have Metro Neo, up to 8,000 peak hour, peak direction traffic. Now, in the case of Metro Light, the cost of per kilometer comes down to about 120 to 140 crores per kilometer. In the case of Metro Neo, it comes down to 60 to 80 crores per kilometer. Now, when I talk to the chief ministers and my counterparts in the state government, they will all want the regular metro. But when I have a conversation with them and say, well, you can achieve the same thing by something that looks exactly like the metro, but is able to travel on a normal road with reinforced rubber tires, well, they understand. And then the financial outlay is also much less. And including, then you can do the same thing. You can take it through a congested area by having, how you define this, tram kind of overhead trolley. Overhead trolley. I mean, you have 2 railings there, and then you have a pulley system.
That is, sir, the pot system.
Yeah. So you can have the same objective especially for the larger cities. I think the message, it has required some margin of persuasion by us with the state government. Now that message has gone home. But the good news is that now the number of proposals which are coming in is very fast. Also, we are able to demonstrate that we can get this job done within specified period of time, within the time and cost estimates which are proposed. Now, the state can provide an enabling environment, we can raise some money, but ultimately there is nothing like a public-private partnership where the resources which are domestically available and the resources which are available through from foreign sources, foreign development agencies or multilateral financial institutions like the ADB and others, French Development Agency, DFT, AFD, then German, KFW, the German, all these, and they also then contribute to this. And I must say, we have a very healthy, a very robust, and a very fast delivering metro system now available. A conventional metro can deal with approximately 45,000 to 50,000 peak hour traffic. Metro Light and Metro Neo pursue the same in terms of convergence, but as I said, it would be at a cost which is substantially lower. In fact, in one case, the Metro Neo cost is only a fraction of the other one. The other one is also nearly half of the cost. Which city gets what? I think my experience so far has been that once you tell the concerned cities that, look, this involves raising of finances and you can raise so much, some of them are state government projects also, I think we are moving ahead. So I hope I've comprehensively responded to all aspects of your question.
Let
me also add that there is something common I find between my civil aviation charge and my urban transportation charge under housing and urban affairs. Very often we need to clinically tailor the response, which is the size of the airstrip that will determine what size of aircraft can land. So you need to make sure that at least an A320 or a wide-bodied plane can land. But you also must anticipate the likely growth in traffic. Some of the projects where we are going in for Metro Neo and Metro Light currently do not have the passenger demand that would justify anything more than Metro Neo or Metro Light. But in our assessment, that is our means the concerned agencies of the government which make the assessment as to which system to go for, they anticipate the likely growth. Now, it's a very interesting situation. I was participating in a meeting of the Consultative Committee on Parliament for Civil Aviation. And 10 years ago, every member of parliament wanted a railway line to go through his constituency. Today, I hear proposals that every district headquarters should have an airstrip. I mean, that is a change which is coming. Now, we have to look at connectivity in a comprehensive way, but that connectivity, you must be able to apportion your resources to what is really required. Now, in the case of Maharashtra, we have received a proposal for Nasik Metro Neo, Rithala Narela in Delhi, which is phase 4, which I mentioned in my opening remarks, which would be a Metro Light. Now, you have a system in Delhi where you have a regular metro, but some of those sectors, which are the segments which join the main lines, do not really require a metro. And most of the people we speak to are able to comprehend that. And I think we are moving ahead on a reasonably sound basis.
Sir, another question connected to what you just said. As per the Metro Policy 2017, we were supposed to have a comprehensive mobility plan and a statutory body called Unified Metropolitan Transport Authority for ensuring an integrated approach in planning and management of urban transport. So there is a seamless integration of the entire transport system. Somehow unless and until there is a condition in the policy that unless the Unified Metropolitan Transport Authority is created as a statutory body and adequately staffed, no metro project should be taken up in that state. Unless we bring that up, I think this seamlessness and integration might become a problem later on. What is your view on that?
Well, if you were to live in an ideal world where you can, dictate either you do this or this is the kind of, consequence, unless you're living in that kind of world. But ours is not an ideal world. I think what you are saying in terms of a unified, integrated policy, in short, we are moving in that direction. And I think my own sense is that the states of, let me give you the facts as my colleagues have mentioned. Tamil Nadu, Karnataka already have a UMTA. We are insisting of the UMTA now doing the appraisal. For Kerala and Madhya Pradesh. So Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka have it. And we are insisting on this for every project that we now appraise. But I think that the overall approach should be to use encouragement. Not unless you do this. It's like the chicken and egg. He cannot do it till he has some project where he can implement it. So I think it's a good start. Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and we are encouraging the others also to have this unified and integrated, what you call the UMTA.
Right. Also, one question is around Make in India opportunities. So this is an area where you already kind of touched upon some of the things which are happening locally. But is there a plan to extend any production-linked incentives or bringing about any other specific programs to incentivize Make in India further in metro systems?
Well, that is the overall philosophy just now. Aatmanirbhar. And I'm very happy to tell you that Made in India metro lines are being sold in Australia. That we have, I'm aware of 2 or 3 Bombardier. Australia, I'm told Canada also. Bombardier and Alstom, as I mentioned. I'm aware of 2. But the overall direction is in going there. In every sphere. I'm also Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, and I can tell you this new scheme that we've called the Production Linked Incentive Scheme, PLI, which essentially is a transformation from generally available subsidies to specified this thing. And we've covered 10 sectors in that. You will see the change. So incentives come in many ways. Incentives come in the kind of structure that you produce, what you do in different schemes. And I think that it's not easy to take out any one incentive, but the whole direction is that. But it also makes sense. Today, we are very proudly, I keep saying that we have 760 kilometers of operational metro. In another few years, we'll have another 1046. But that's not the real story. The real story is that you are moving in a situation whereby 2030, you will have 600 million people living in our urban centers, and all of them will require urban transport. So all this figure of 700 kilometers I'm talking about, 700 kilometers is what you will have to be making every year, additional metro lines. That will be the story, and that will come through domestic manufacture. Now, how many other countries in the world will you have metro manufacturing? China is already producing 600-700 kilometers per year. So I think they will be reaching saturation. Other countries, I can't think of any other country. Japan, if you look at the land area and you look at, they've already got their metros and their Shinkansen. Brazil is a very large land area, but they've got a very thin population. United States, all the cities, the metropolitan cities have transport like New York and DC, etc. So India is going to be the place. So it doesn't make any sense for people to be manufacturing outside and bringing them here. You are much better off now manufacturing here. We have standardized. Now, for instance, our policy, I mean, I'm going to read out just now some specific, but we have standardized and matrices for domestic production. For instance, minimum local content required for rolling stock is 60%, telecommunications 50%, signaling 50%, civil works 90% for elevated and 80% for underground structures, electrical mechanical 60%. 64 items have been identified to be sourced from Indian source. This is very much a road or a highway leading to total domestic production. But again, I want to be very careful in what I say in a public forum. You also have to be careful that you don't have just Indian and make sure some critical components can't come in. So you have to combine, you have to use capital which is available outside. For instance, we have a project here for the RRTS, which is I think Delhi Merit, which has about 1,000 crores of external funding being utilized. 1,000 crores of money coming in from outside, but that money is going to be spent in India. And we encourage Indian entities to take advantage of that. So all I'm saying is that minimum 75% of the coaches to be sourced from Indian sources, from Indian manufacturers. In last 2 years, orders of 1,200 crores have been placed. 1,200 coaches, sorry. 1,200 coaches have been placed on our manufacturing units in India. And the coaches have been, we have BML, Bharat Earth Movers Limited, it's a defense PSU, Bombardier, Alstom, and Titagar Firma involved. So there's a major process of domestic or indigenization which is going on, and we will encourage that.
Right. Thank you so much, Minister, for taking these questions. Pratap, any questions on your side?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I wish you very happy deliberations. And I'm sure we will have many more opportunities for us to talk not only about metro but other urban mobility issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, we'll be taking a 5-minute break before we resume for the panel discussion.
So with the Pratap, you want to introduce the panel?
We, J. Kumar Projects Limited.
So today's discussion on Metro Nation, we have with us Mr. Pradeep Yadav, Managing Director, Chennai Metro Rail. Mr. Yadav, welcome. Mr. Abhay Mishra, CEO and MD, Mumbai Metro 1. Welcome. Mr. Madhav Pai, India Director, WRI Ross Center for Sustainable Cities. Hi Madhav, welcome. Mr. Surjit Madan, Head Rail Systems, AP Metro Rail Corporation. Welcome, Mr. Madan. And Mr. Nalin Gupta, Managing Director, J. Kumar Infra Projects. Welcome, Mr. Nalin Kumar.
Thank you, Pratap. Thank you all the eminent guests for joining us today for this discussion. We want to cover your perspectives on how the metro projects are evolving in India, what are the opportunities, and also hear what are the challenges in some cases to achieve the targets which are being set, as the Honorable Minister talked about in the previous session. Let me start with you, Mr. Gupta. Your firm has been instrumental in executing several metro projects. How do you see the future of the sector in the next 5 to 10 years? What is your industry perspective?
Thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity to being a part of this webinar. So we at J. Kumar, we are proud to have a talented and experienced team of technical staff, quality engineers, machineries with latest technologies like straddle carriers for erection, which makes the entire erection process quite seamless with minimum inconvenience to traffic. and pile breaking machines, automatic cut bend plants. And we are continuously focusing on upgrading the conventional style of execution, involving integration of technology and conventional wisdom, resulted in design and erection of fully precast system, first time in India. So various construction companies have been doing part erection of stations by precast methods, but in Mumbai being one of the very urban, being an urban city with a lot of congestion of traffic and utilities, so we have come up with a new technology of going for the entire construction of stations by precast method, and which has resulted as it was initially a tough thing to convince the government authorities, but eventually now everyone has realized, and I think all the metro bodies, they are going for more and more of precast systems, especially in urban cities. So I think looking at the recent initiatives on central and state governments to push for more and more infrastructure, and as our honorable minister has already mentioned that there is a requirement of more than of around almost 600 kilometers to be constructed every year, and also the 2-tier and 3-tier cities are requiring it. So I think for next 10 to 15 years at least, I think companies involved into metro executions are going to see a very fantastic inflow in terms of order book and execution.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Mishra, let me come to you next on the Mumbai Metro adoption. So, in the initial times, I think there was some hesitancy on how the metro will perform, but I think Metro 1 is really now completely embraced by Mumbaikars, right? How do you see the future of metro in Mumbai, where some of the largest projects are going on once all the lines all the lines are completed?
Yeah, when we started in 2014, because the Mumbaikars were used to the local travel and how the metro will be performing and how the commuters will be behaving there was a big question which was in everybody's mind. But Mumbai Metro 1 has set up a good trend and good line. In fact, the Mumbaikar has adopted so well. It was really surprised to see the way they behave in traveling in suburban, and the way they travel in metro is really commendable. And the kind of affection or the patronage the commuters have given to the metro. In fact, you may be knowing about it. Normally in any metro system, after first year, the growth in every metro in our projection is about 5% to 4%, 5%, 6%. That kind of a growth is there. Mumbai Metro 1 is we have completed 6 years. We have been able to get double-digit growth in 6 years. I mean, that's a CAGR about 12-13%. So the Mumbaikars have not only adopted it and using it so well. So I'm sure when the other metro line will come by, in fact, it will become more, because at present the constraint is how do they come to the different metro line and go to different places. Once the total network will be there and they will be interconnected, I think there will be a very good patronage. In fact, at present, the suburban traffic is of the order of about, pre-COVID, I'm talking pre-COVID, was about 7.5 million. I mean, with this, probably it will go much, much higher in the total suburban traffic as such. So I have no doubt about it, the success of metro in Mumbai. And in the country as a whole, if we talk about, I mean, other than Delhi, the other metros have been having a problem about the commuters, but Mumbai never had the problem. And Mumbai Metro 1 line, in fact, it has become the 7th densest corridor in the world. So that's the kind of patronage we are getting.
Let me come to you, Mr. Yadav, for your experience on the Chennai metro execution. What has been your experience of building this metro system? I mean, it seems one of the most efficiently run metros projects in the metro space. So, what was your experience? What went right for the project?
Yeah. Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hi. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Chennai Metro is a very it's a new organization, and we have just completed our phase 1. We have had some experience during execution of phase 1. There were time overruns, there were cost overruns. As usual, we went with a design and build kind of concept. There were a lot of uncertainties, and we were supposed to complete the project by 2015, but we could complete it entirely in 2019 only. Now, the Honorable Minister just now mentioned that we are going for a massive project that is around 119 kilometers one go, which is one of the largest stretch in any city. We have learned few lessons from phase one, and we have started working on phase two in a very, very systematic way. I will just mention a few initiatives which we have taken based on what we learned in phase one. There was, we followed the design and build in the phase one, but in phase two, it's more of a, we engaged detailed design consultants well in advance. They have been working with us for the last 1.5 years. So the entire alignment plus the requirement of land has been worked out well in advance. So in phase two, I don't think there'll be any delays due to land acquisition, because the entire design part has been done carefully. And wherever we had some issues in land acquisition, those issues have also been tackled at the time of designing itself. So we are going ahead with a detailed design kind of thing. And the construction, the contractor will have to primarily deal with construction. So there will not be any delay in designing or change of sites, acquisition of land. That is one deviation from the phase two. The second one, we all know that these are all capital intensive projects. So we have taken steps to reduce the cost. Now, there have been some changes in design, and from the normal length of a station, underground station of say 230 to 40 meters, we have brought it down to 150 or so. This will definitely help us not only in fast execution, but also savings in terms of cost. We have also optimized the usage of spaces. In phase one, we had a number of rooms, and then now we have actually done some sort of optimization of rooms also. In terms of the construction technology, I think just now one of my Mr. J. Kumar Nalin Gupta said that we are going for a precast to the extent possible. We are going for precast methodology and then go for a launcher, which will help us not only in fast execution, but also a minimum disturbance to public. So with these 2-3 changes, like going for a design in advance. Number 2, land acquisition also being done on priority based on the designs. So there will be no delay due to land acquisition. And the other part is the geographical uncertainties. Those uncertainties also we have tackled by conducting a geotechnical investigation at every 25 meters. Normally, in any DPR, it is done for every 500 meters, but we have gone for a very intensive geotechnical investigation. So we have tried to minimize those uncertainties also. So we have worked on 3-4 strategies to basically minimize uncertainties and see that the entire project, which is again a massive project, is executed well within the timelines. We expect that the entire stretch should be over by 2025. All the tenders are out and open. They are all being bidded, and some of them are at advanced stages. So I would just say that we have come out with a lot of clarity, and we have done some kind of optimization in the design also. There is entirely a different approach to phase 2, which will minimize the cost, time, and that's all I think I have to. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. If there are any questions, I'll be too happy to answer.
Can I take the Ashish Madhav? If you saw the response of the minister on the urban integrated body of transport authority that was supposed to be there, one approach is obviously that you let things happen, because under ideal circumstances, everything cannot be planned. But on the other hand, you have a city like Mumbai, you're going to do 50, 60 stations, and there is a sort of an integration missing at various points, causing different sets of problems in the city. I mean, one objective is obviously to bring about a seamlessness in reduction of traffic. But on the other, so at what stage, given of course, the limitations, how can we sort of integrate both these needs of seamless integration of other feeder routes, etc., within limited spaces of cities that we have, and the need to grow our petrol stations at the same time?
Thanks, Pratap, for the question. I wanted to make, one of the things, one point I wanted to make is, clearly we are seeing metros as an investment to grow the economy, right? And typically, if we say if you don't invest $1 in infrastructure, it needs to create 10 times the economic value, right? 8 to 10 times. That's usually the multiplier, right? So if you invest, if we invest, say, whatever, 100 million in, metros, it should create a $1 billion sort of GDP. So one of the things, I feel like to a large extent in India, the conversation of the metro has been very technical. It's been about the cement, the concrete, the rail. But typically, if you go to any real estate developer, what he does, even before he has put in his first foundation, he's actually sold his first five flats or first 20 flats and recovered the value. So the cities need to start thinking of metro as an investment. We need to think about how do we attract jobs near the metro stations. So this whole idea of capturing this wider economy benefits, and how does sort of the metro, it's doing a really good job of actually now doing execution, but think like a real estate developer, think about attracting. Today in Bangalore, Flipkart is building a new campus out 15 kilometers outside Devanhalli. Why can't we get Flipkart to come and set up the campus at one of the metro stations, right? Why can't we get, this, I just feel like, I'm going beyond what you asked. I'm just saying that, our cities need to start thinking of metros as these big investors. As a city, if I've invested $2 billion in, say, Bangalore, we're going to invest $6 billion in the metro. Unless we bring jobs to the metro, it's either if Flipkart's going to put his center in Devanhalli and everybody's going to go there by car, you've lost all of that benefit, right? And so I think really to capture these wider economy benefits, we really think, and there's a very clear indicator, it's called jobs per square kilometer, right? Or employment per square kilometer. You can measure this very easily now. If you look at any large systems, right? So if you look at the London plan, London very consciously decided to increase its employment density along its metro corridor. So London between 1990 and 2020 has increased the number of jobs from 50,000 jobs per square kilometer to 150,000 jobs per square kilometer along all of its metro corridors. New York has about 200,000 jobs per square. In Mumbai Metro one is the only one, which has about, I would say 40,000 jobs per square kilometer. Nariman Point still has 150,000 jobs per square kilometer. But if you go to Bangalore or Chennai, it's like 10,000. Even Delhi, 15,000 jobs per square kilometer. And I think, so this lens of employment density and how do we actively think about bringing more jobs to come and reside in metro stations, around metro stations, is critical. Otherwise, we will never generate the economic value or capture the wider economy benefits that these investments are creating. And I think it's great that we are actually really making excellent progress on all of the construction technology. But I really think that unless this focus is brought, I think we are not going to reap the benefits of this infrastructure investment. So, and I think once this is done, of course, when you bring these jobs, etc., one of the key things beyond just the railway connectivity that you have to provide is that you have to improve the station environments, the last mile connectivity, make sure that the integration. And today, for all of that, the technology is there, right? And today, that is one thing, but payments, with Google Pay, you no longer need an UMTA to do the payment integration, right? Schedule integration. Many years ago, you needed probably a city like London did schedule integration. Today, some third party will come, Google will do schedule integration, somebody else. So, schedule integration, payment integration. So, other than the focus on the last mile connectivity and the spaces around the metro, I think the metro companies need to very actively build real estate wings and start thinking about how it can attract jobs and businesses both to metro stations and around metro stations. And I think how we enable that, and this will require some partnerships between the metro company, in this, and the local development authority or the local municipal corporation. Right? So this was a point I had to make, and there's a very simple indicator, like I said, jobs per square kilometer. How do we do a baseline, and then we just very actively see how, and that's going to drive the ridership up, right? Today, in a city like Bangalore or in a city like Delhi, transportation is a many to many problem. There are many business centers and there are many residential locations. You want to make, if you're putting an investment like a metro in a city, you want to make transportation a many to one problem, right? Where you bring people from all the places to one location for jobs. And I think the metro really is able to carry these high capacities to be able to do that. And I think some active policy making around that is absolutely what is required going forward.
Right. So, Madhav, you raised that point that real estate is one real factor which has made Hong Kong and even now Delhi, I think a lot of revenue comes from, real estate. So let's go to Mr. Mishra and Mr. Yadav and see what is happening at their end in terms of the real estate contribution. What are the plans? So can we go to Mr. Mishra first and then to Mr. Yadav on this matter?
On Mumbai Metro, this is the project which is on a PPP. So we do have restrictions on the real estate development. But I should tell you, this is one of a factor, a revenue generator. Even in Mumbai Metro, what we did a little bit unconventional thing for the infrastructure. Normally, nobody goes for the branding part of it, of infrastructure. We went for a number of initiative in the communication. What are we doing? We did a lot of action on the customer engagement. We did on a customer experience. So all those things gave a lot of value to the stations. So on those stations, we have a limited retail spaces where we can commercialize. So I'm happy to share that when we started 6 years back, the average realization was 100 rupees per square feet. And today it is 750 rupees a square feet. I mean, that kind of a patronage and the value we have been able to unlock for the people. So what Mr. Madhav has said is totally true, that if you plan it out in a holistic manner, it gives two kind of a benefit. Number one, we want people to travel through metro so that there's less pollution, there's less congestion. So if the employment generation is along the metro, so people will take that particular. If the route is not relevant, they will not travel about it. The second part of it, that the stations, the station, for example, if I look back in Mumbai Metro also, I'm very happy that there have been a lot of learning from Mumbai Metro 1 in the design of the new stations. For example, the last mile connectivity, the bike connectivity. So whatever was possible in the internet, we have started doing it. At least we are spreading the learning part of it. So the real estate portion is a very, very important factor, must be kept into the mind. But one sort of a caution which I would like to give, normally while making projections, the planners, they get attracted to the realization of the real estate and they try to put that into the infrastructure. But one need to understand both industries are separate. Their culture are separate. The way they behave are separate. So both the things should be kept separate, but the benefit should be drawn into the infrastructure to the best benefit possible. And that's a need. And even while developing infrastructure, I will also add, I mean, a lot of work, I think Mr. Madha was also part of it when we did on the station, the last mile connectivity, because that also adds to the benefit to the metro commuters as well as to the reals. For example, there is an office, there is a very good last mile connectivity. So it benefits both the people. So real estate around metro station must be very well connected. So they need to be a holistic planning. I remember when I started Mumbai Metro 1, so I had a meeting with the Municipal Commissioner of the Mumbai. So about the having because in the Mumbai, if you see, the streets are not clear, people are not able to walk. Also, there's a lot of sort of encroachments on the footpath. So all those things, if they are taken into account, it will certainly be convenience to the metro as well as development of real estate. So it need to be taken in a holistic manner for a sustainable development, better utilization for the metro, and having a good public transport in the city. Thank you.
Yeah, just reacting to what you asked on realizing non-fare revenue from the stations. It is all linked to the ridership. If the ridership is not good, I don't think that non-fare revenue will also pick up. So to increase that ridership, last mile connectivity, there are other measures where we actually have been working. And typically in Chennai, if you see the our other mode of public transport, that is bus, the fare is so low that it's very difficult to attract ridership from there. So again, it's a vicious circle. But we do have some real estate land blocks which we have been putting it out for in the RFP, and we have got some good response from some of the investors. But it's a long process. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. We are also working on theory, but then these all require cooperation from the local authority. You're right. Unless we tap into the benefits in the influence area of influence, I don't think we'll be able to fund or we will able to repay the loans. So the efforts are on. Our efforts to increase ridership are on, and we hope to see good non-fare revenue realization in recent future. Yeah, thank you.
Coming on to Mr. Madan, Andhra Pradesh is a relatively new entrant on the metro front. So what has been your experience, sir, and what was the logic behind selection of the metro light technology for the cities in your area? Mr. Madan, can you hear us?
Hello.
We can hear you now.
Hello. Can you repeat, please?
Yes, my question was that Andhra Pradesh is a relatively new state trying metro projects, and it has opted for metro light projects. So what was the rationale behind that, and what has been your experience so far in getting these projects off the ground?
Question is not very clear, but I try to explain. Basically, at the start, for any city to take up a transit system, a CMP is made, comprehensive mobility plan, and then the alternative analysis done, and at the DPR stage, you do the traffic survey to find out what would be the traffic, what they are calling, or what we normally call per hour, per direction traffic. And that depends on that particular figures, what are worked out. Means after the traffic survey, the computer simulation is done. And based on that simulation, you project for the start of the metro, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. 30th year is taken as horizon year. And based on that, you select the type of metro you are going for. In case of Visakhapatnam, we have gone for light metro. Incidentally, in India, right now, that gap still exists. As you heard the minister, the medium metro, what we are adopting in most of the cities, the PHPDT can be 45,000. But there is a gap between 15,000, for which metro light is being recommended, and something like 35,000. That gap remains. So we have worked out a light metro system, and it has lot many advantage over whatever the metros are being put in there right now in the tier 2 cities like Nagpur or similar cities. So those cities are almost with the same population, between 2 to 3 million, and requirement is something like 15 to 20,000 or 25,000 on the horizon year. The metro light stops at something like 15,000. That's the maximum somebody can expect. Reason is type of the rolling stock employed. So for going to that, the other advantages are for the light metro, we can reduce the civil cost as well as system cost by having a lighter axle load. The present metro which have been put in now have an axle load of 15 to 16 ton, and we have brought the system to 13 ton axle load. That reduces the civil cost. System cost also can be reduced without being a lighter system. And also the station length can be reduced from something like 140 meters present on those metros to something like 80 meters. As far as ridership is concerned, we will meet all the ridership criteria with the light metro. We can start the services with 2 car consist, means only 2 car in the light metro. That will take us for 10 to 15 years in any city, because right now the problem is most of the metros don't have that much of ridership. So it will take us to 10 to 15 years. After that, we can add 1 more car. It becomes a 3 car, like present metros. With 3 car, we can go almost up to 30 years. If somewhere ridership improves to a larger extent, anybody will be happier, and we can add the 4th car. Those 4 cars can be still accommodated in 80 meters. And that will take us something like beyond 30 years, up to 50 years. That is the type of things we are trying to develop with a much more economical. We hope to save per kilometer cost by more than 20%. So that is the idea for light metro. And the cities which are still having a ridership below 15,000 or below 8,000, metro light is fine. And in fact, in Visakhapatnam itself, about 80 kilometers of light metro is planned, plus 60 kilometers of metro light type of system is also planned. The only difference in that, we are going for catenary free metro light. It's a small difference between so that you don't have a catenary above so you don't have to collect the power from the overhead. That is the advantage.
Thank you. I think that was very insightful in terms of how the systems work. So good information for our listeners. Mr. Gupta, I want to come to you on the opportunities for Make in India in this area, and also, what
Sorry, voice is not coming clearly. Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Madan, I was asking this question to Mr. Gupta actually on his experience of what can be Make in India opportunities, and also how can state and the central governments help the private players better to execute these projects more efficiently. So any comments on that, sir?
Yeah, so I would say that the Honorable Prime Minister's move for this Make in India policy and making India Aatmanirbhar, I think it's one of the most fantastic moves to have a lot of push to the Indian economy. And right now, this will help in having everything from pile foundation, the base point, to the metro rail coaches, electrical and SNT systems. Everything will be being made in India, is helping India in going for more and more industries and giving opportunities to the Indian players. Also, the government has made a move by putting Make in India policy for the Indian contractors who have been making joint ventures with foreign companies. And if they have executed works more than 50% share, they get 100% eligibility for the value of work executed by them. So that would avoid the sleeping partners or making joint ventures for companies which are already self-sufficient and capable to execute these projects. So I think this move of Make in India policy is a very, very helpful thing, and it will reduce the dependency on foreign companies, let it be from spares or to having production capacities. And this would even a small area, I would say, for like a spare part which the companies have to wait to be imported to India, would be produced here by the same Indian manufacturing equipment manufacturing companies. So I think it's a wonderful move that the government has gone, and it will help the Indian economy. And with regards to the participation of private sector, I would say there are two parts to it. If you talk of a PPP construction model, I think personally, as regards to my point of view, I don't feel that private PPP model for any metro project has been really a great success. I do not mean, of course, there are exceptions to it, but I think construction of a metro project is basically an EPC job for which there is a specialized sector of people, segment of people doing this construction. And when it comes to PPP model, like even they can hire good EPC contractors. But when it comes to the government executing a project and a private person executing a project, there is a vast difference in terms of whether it comes to land acquisition, it comes to, I would say, utility shiftings, in terms of permissions from traffic department, because then it becomes like a private organization building up that metro or that project, let it be HSR or anything for that matter. So I think it is very much important that the companies who are specialized into execution are left with only that job. And when the government is representing, I think getting through the permissions and sailing through that project is much, much easier. And yeah, so that's my take on when you talk of private this. And also, like I would say that in terms of metros, there are like particular hurdles that you are supposed, that a construction company encounters. That's mainly utility shifting, land acquisitions. I think our Chennai Metro MD has also mentioned, he has touched that area. That's in terms of the land acquisition. Like any project in a metro, or any project for that matter, not only metro alone, basically gets delayed or stuck due to like four main reasons, I would say: land acquisitions, utility shifting, tree permissions. So these things, if like a smart city where there is a proper mapping of utilities which are clearly available, and a agency can identify, yes, these utilities are there, the design can be modified or the utilities can be shifted, but the project will be completed in that particular time frame. And with regards to like NHAI, they go for this method that if 70 to 80% of the project is not available in terms of land or land acquisition issues or permissions, the project date of start is not commenced, wherein the burden on the Indian contractors failing, there is it's a very relative term. So I think if the projects are 75 to 80% something in hand, and if the projects are rolled over and handed over to the contractor, because you cannot have 100% problem solved and then we go for the project, because in India we every time feel that when it's the time, I'll do it. I won't hand over my land to any department. Metro project या flyover का project आया नहीं है, so why should I hand over my land? I'll do it when the time comes. So I would say at least 75-80% if it is there, the projects will see the light of completion very much close to the target date anticipated. And also the smart city system of utility mapping, if those more and more smart cities are went for, I think it will help the completion process in a very, very faster way. And one, not the least, is the railway permissions. So if the railway permissions are also, like this matter had been highlighted in the parliament also recently in the parliament budget, where the Honorable Transport Minister, Mr. Gadkari, had mentioned that we will expedite this process of getting the railway permissions for metro projects and flyovers. I think that would really help the projects.
Mr. Gupta, I wanted to just have a follow-up question on this, that in NHAI now their rule is that they acquire 90% of the land before they give a project, like you said. But on the other hand, they've also done an ongoing dispute resolution kind of a mechanism. While the project is on, there is a mechanism where you can put forth a dispute, which is rather than wait till the end of the project and raise the dispute on the invoice, etc. What kind of a mechanism do you all follow right now in ongoing dispute resolution?
Well, so for all, it is a standard process in all the contracts. When if there are any disputes or difference of opinion in terms of scope of works, in terms of variations, the same has to be intimated to the department within a given period, not late, means within almost a month's time. So like if any scope is given to us, which is not according to us, which is not in the purview of the contractor's original scope as per the contract, we write it to the department, and the department during the course of course we are not supposed to stop the work in most of the cases, but we are surely at the liberty to put our point to the department wherein it is in the process of execution, it gets resolved. So it's also one of the, I think, a big lacuna in part of the contractors. Mainly, many a times we feel that we will execute the work and we'll put it at the later stage. But I think the importance of that whole thing is lost. And by the time the work is completed, nobody is really much keen on resolving your disputes. So we as J. Kumar, we try to put in those points time to time to the department, and in the process of execution, that money is released to us.
Mr. Ashish, I just wanted to direct one question to Mr. Pai. Now you can see that what response Mr. Yadav gave and Mr. Mishra gave about real estate. And you were talking about that it should be marketed in that manner right before it starts off. But that means either it is because the full network is not in place in order to get that kind of traffic or ridership, because there is a certain route required to actually make it worth the while of everyone to be actually traveling on it. What could be any other planning measures that can be introduced in order to make this happen sooner?
See, one is to adopt them. My whole thing is, I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but I think to adopt this thinking, with especially in urban infrastructure, is important. That how do you try to build these as more integrated projects, where you're actually thinking about land use and transport. And traditionally, our view always has been still on physical planning. So people with transit-oriented development plans and things like that. But the sort of the economic thinking of what are the businesses that today they are doing this, whether so that little bit. So that is my point. I mean, it's not so much, but also what is the businesses, right? Are we attracting IT in Hyderabad? Are they thinking of bringing the pharma sector to come reside along the metro? Today they are doing the RRTS in Meerut, and there is a plan, but it's a planning plan that's saying you can build so much FAR. But what businesses are you trying to attract, and how are you enabling that? And that is not as much only the role of the metro, but also the city. And so I think that I'm just saying that kind of thinking has to appear. Otherwise, we are just building civil engineering, right? We are not building places. and building projects. I think the transition from projects to places has to happen. Having said that, I think integration is key. I think a lot of times on integration also, we saw based on some research that we did for Mumbai Metro, but also we've been running this program called STAM, which is on last mile connectivity for metro station. So we've done one. We ran it in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and then in Mumbai. And Mumbai Metro one was the agency that was happy to sort of host it. But where we were trying to look at what we found out is that people usually have about half an hour. People can give about half an hour of their time to do last mile connectivity. So if you have a motorized mode, you can come further. If you're walking, you will come that much closer. So it's more people are giving their time, and that so how do we then it's to build larger catchments, get people to come, and so three things have to be done. One, working environments have to be improved dramatically. Two, enabling all of there's a huge opportunity now to enable all of this last mile connectivity through scooters. In Mumbai and all now they do even integrated ticketing, right? So there are these buses that are run by City Flow or somebody which is like a private bus provider, where you can buy a ticket that connects like the nearest business center to the metro station. So this is an exercise that Mumbai Metro has done. So I think, like I said, I think this integrated stuff has to be really pushed. You don't need an UMTA to do it. Mumbai Metro 1 has demonstrated by a number of initiatives where they have sort of integrated with private partners to deliver services on last mile connectivity, on integrated fare collection and all of that. What you really need to do is make sure there are no legislative hurdles, right? So that, that these kind of sort of joint tickets can be bought and whatever background dispute resolution issues, etc. are set up. So I think that's it. But I think these are things that will definitely make it improve. Definitely improve. I think one of the things that, we haven't really seen much in India is actually direct connectors from buildings to stations. Again, I think they are starting to plan that in Mumbai. For example, in Thailand, Bangkok, these lines like Sukhumvit and things like that, they actually rent these, the metro company owns by providing these direct connectors, say from, you are in Mumbai, for example, from a close by building directly to the station. So people don't even have to go to the street and then you actually charge for that. You earn a rent on that. So it becomes a continuous income. So that's something that can be explored. So, all sorts of things that can make accessing the station, exiting the station as easy as possible has to be done and thought about, and that's definitely the thing. And so I would say sort of focus on that. I think other things, I think a little bit, we are seeing gender segregation. I think women are also very important sort of user group for the metro. So I think making sure that measures are in place where, women feel safe and comfortable and things like that. I think so. Children, I think, again, the other point I keep making is, metros are a great place today for people to start thinking about, bringing any institution of collaboration. When I say, if there is a university extension that should be focused, where people are going to work, or if there are university schools, coaching classes, coaching classes are, again, always really great. So I think there are certain businesses that we need to think about how we bring to the metro, because these are places where people are not just going once, so this is how you also really help solving for congestion. So I think this kind of thinking beyond, of course, like I said, last mile connectivity, designing the station areas, maximizing the FAR that can be used. The other big challenge, and we have seen this quite a bit in Bangalore and other places we've been working. In India, the bigger challenge is no large land parcels are available. So, if there is no incentive for a developer to come and build 564. So if the city can actively participate in actually amalgamating or, bringing together these smaller land parcels, and Mumbai has done some of these township kind of programs, but I think that sort of the land use regulations also have to be thought about, where you can amalgamate larger parcels of land so that then actually the developers actually can build the higher FAR and things like that. A lot of places higher FAR has been provided, but it has not been consumed, partly because, again, most of the, our metros are in already built up places, and then sort of large land parcels are not available. So on small plots with setbacks and things like that, again, you can't actually build that much. It doesn't become. So the other big challenge is how do you amalgamate sort of land along these metros so that, larger land parcels can be given to the developers. And so I think there is a need for metro companies also to actually actively think about how they can collaborate with the local city stakeholders, whether it's the development authority and MCGM. And there has been a bit of a tussle, and I think as much as possible, if that can be sort of, how you actually, one, create larger land parcels and, think about sort of, really making sure that the environment around the stations is designed is an important issue. And it's fair integration is the other thing, but I think Mumbai is the unique case in there because, railways, is running the services and it's hard to integrate with, Indian Railways. But other cities, I think, we will see fair integration come about much more easily. And I think that is the other, I think fair integration much more, even beyond modes, but also on the last mile connectivity and all of that. I think with the open access card should be again quite doable. And I think that agenda should be also very actively sort of pushed.
So we got great insights today in this session from all our speakers on not just the technology aspect, but also the business and the planning aspects of metro systems. On behalf of Swarajya and Construction World, I would like to thank all the participants, Mr. Mishra, Mr. Yadav, Mr. Gupta, Mr. Pai, and Mr. Madan for your views. Thank you so much, and hope to catch you soon on another session sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
We, J. Kumar Infra Projects Limited, one of India's leading infrastructure and civil engineering companies, is at the vanguard of this transformation. A rising star in the business of designing, developing, and delivering complex, modern, mega infrastructure projects, blazing forward at a meteoric growth trajectory. Building excellence through in-depth planning and smart business strategy has been a critical component of our growth. Every project is meticulously planned to the minutest details, taking into consideration optimum utilization of resources and a focus on cost effectiveness. An important part of our project planning and execution is the setting up of casting yards near our project sites, equipped with state-of-the-art facilities and equipment, and a logistics fleet to conveniently and speedily cast and transport large castings to project sites and provide the necessary support to projects. Our business strategy, the guiding principles of our growth and dynamism. A critical part of our strategy is the acquisition and ownership of an increasingly large fleet of world-class construction machinery and equipment, which provides a requisite flexibility and operational efficiency to execute mega projects in a cost-effective and timely manner. Our proven project execution capabilities is a testimony to our ethos of building excellence through performance that has won us several accolades for early completion of projects and a plethora of awards and recognitions. Our performance has secured us several prestigious independent registrations from various leading government bodies and corporations. Our company also has the prestigious ISO 9001-2008, ISO 14001-2004, OSAS 18001-2007 and ISO 9001-2015 certifications. We, J. Kumar Infra Projects Limited, one of India's leading infrastructure and civil engineering companies, is at the vanguard of this transformation. A rising star in the business of designing, developing, and delivering complex, modern, mega infrastructure projects, blazing forward at a meteoric growth trajectory. Building excellence through in-depth planning and